Applied Analytical Chemistry. This is Chemistry or Chem 211. My name is Samuel Mugo and I'll be your course instructor for this course. The best way to contact me is by using my email, which is already on the slide there. And my office number is 5-131C. As expected, in this time of the pandemic, I will not be able to meet in the office. As such, the best way to contact me is through the email. Now, the course Chemistry 211, we're going to be using the textbook resource called Quantitative Chemical Analysis by Daniel Harris. There are many different editions, that are in the market, and any one of them, would work well for this course. The latest edition is the 10th edition, and I do not require you to buy the textbook, as the notes that I'll provide will be detailed enough for you to pass the course. However, for more scope in analytical chemistry, I recommend the textbook because you can learn all the facets, of different analytical techniques and even read ahead. And as such, I recommend it, but do not necessarily require you to buy the textbook. I also have a couple of copies in my office that you can borrow and return. So maybe you're wondering, what did I get myself into to register for this particular course? And so this introductory lecture will highlight the course expectations and hopefully calm your nerves and hopefully get you excited, about this course. First things first, I'd like to point out that my classes are a safe space. Everyone is valued and respected. Your voice counts, and as such, you're at ease, to ask questions and engage, with me, and hopefully also, with our peers in class. Now, my teaching philosophy is based on the fact that, analytical chemistry is totally interconnected, with the society. And I like to illuminate these when I teach in my courses, that the purpose of chemistry really is to actually solve societal problems. I believe the purpose to why you're taking this course, hopefully, is to acquire the skill sets, that you would need, to engage with the society and hopefully, to solve societal problems. And as such, I focus a lot, on the relevance of the course and the applications, of the analytical chemistry content and how it relates, to the society. Now, knowledge utilization is important, and so I highlight a lot on some of the aspects, that students could take, and possibly even use those content and concepts to innovate, towards solving societal problems. And so it's not just the knowing or comprehension. I think, developing skill sets, so that you can do, is what the industry is looking for. And that is what the focus for this course is. And for that reason, that's why it's called Applied Analytical Chemistry. It's about knowing, but also especially doing. So what are your expectations, as you take this analytical chemistry course? I'd like to point out, what my expectations are for you, and then for myself too, as your instructor. I'd expect you to engage, to ask questions. I wouldn't like the idea of a monologue. I like us, to sort of engage. So ask questions, such as what if, how, why. None of these questions are dumb, and I really encourage you, to interrogate and to ask those questions. Now, I'd like you to appreciate analytical chemistry, as I said, and how it intersects, with the real world and with the community, where we all live. And I'd like you to enjoy the learning process, and anything that I can do to make the learning process enjoyable for you, it's what I'm here for. I also not like you to stress out. If at all you've got any challenges and so on, contact me. I will do my best, to support you. And such, I really encourage each one of us, to not stress out, and indeed, to enjoy the learning process. So the next few slides are going to highlight, what the course expectations are specifically as they relate, to the course outline. I'd like you to look at the detailed course description in the course outline that's already posted for you on Blackboard. I'd like to mention, that the focus for this course is variants of different classical methods and instrumental methods of analysis. And also, we're going to learn a lot about data analytics. I have to point out, that data analytics is the basis, actually, of artificial intelligence, which is the future of innovation. Now, this course also is going to have numerous real-world examples of organic and inorganic analysis as they apply to modern-day industrial applications. Now, such as you're going to see, analytical chemistry is an interface, of organic as well as inorganic chemistry, some of which, you guys have already, covered. Analytical chemistry also talks a lot about materials, different types of materials, and as such, we teach how to use different analytical methods, to characterize different types of materials. Another important aspect is that there will be a term paper in this course, and the term paper is meant for the students to learn the synthesis of scientific literature and to introduce you to scientific writing and presentation as it relates, to analytical chemistry technologies, for solving societal problems. So yes, it's going to be a reading of scientific literature and synthesizing and also presenting in form of a poster, and we're going to talk about it. Assume you're here in this course because you've already met the course prerequisite, which is a Chemistry 102. And I'm going to be assuming that you know some data aspects of that, and I'll be building, on what you guys covered in Chemistry 102, especially, the idea of different aspects of chemical equilibrium, which is the mainstay, of what chemistry is about, and specifically, analytical chemistry. So maybe you've got questions about evaluations, and I'd like to talk about that here. So one part of the evaluation is going to be assignment, and the assignments are going to constitute 15% of your final grade. And because we are in an online environment, the assignments are going to be online. You're going to be doing, every 2 weeks, you're going to be doing a small online quiz so that you're up to speed on what we have covered. So every 2 weeks, there's going to be an online quiz. So there'll be one midterm, which is again going to be a take-home. It's going to be online, and that will be on the 9th of November. And that's going to constitute, 10%, of your final grade. As I've mentioned, there's a term paper that's going to introduce you to scientific writing and presentation. And the term paper draft, I'm going to expect you to write a draft so that I can take a look at it and give you feedback before you submit your final paper. And so the term paper draft is going to be due the 23rd of October, whereas the final paper, is going to be due on the 27th of November. That's going to be 8% to make a total of 10%. The poster presentation, I'm going to give you a template and the details on how to make a poster, which is going to be based on the term paper that you develop, is going to be due on the December the 4th, and it's going to constitute 5% of your final mark. Now, the final exam, you can check when the date will be, but again, this is going to be an online exam. So it's going to be a take-home exam, and it's going to constitute 25% of your final mark. Applied Analytical Chemistry, as I've said, it's about doing, and so there's a practical component to it. The labs are going to be face-to-face starting next week, September the 15th, on Tuesday, and there'll be 5, sort of different labs that each one of us are gonna do. They're gonna send, the schedule on when each one of us is gonna be coming to the lab. Now there'll be a practical practical exam and an online lab exam. So the practical exam is only going to be you to demonstrate, that you've learned the basic aspects of volumetric and gravimetric analysis. You're going to be demonstrating that to me on September the 22nd or September the 22nd, depending on when you guys are coming into the lab. That's going to be 5%. Now, of the 5%, there's also going to be a written component, which is going to be an online lab exam that I'm going to post for you on Blackboard, and you're going to do that on Blackboard online. So take note of this, students must complete 70% of the lab component to pass the chemistry to 11. So it's very, very, very important. As I've said, the term paper is meant to introduce you to the aspects of scientific writing and synthesis of scientific literature, as well as proper citation and referencing. And I'm going to post an assignment for you to choose the term paper topic, and you should choose the term paper topic, by the 2nd of October. Okay? The general theme for the term paper is going to be on portable analytical devices for environmental analysis, food analysis, or clinical analysis, depending, on which area of interest that you're in. I'd like to point out, a quote here by, a chemist, who wrote and said, analysis of a sample is not the true aim of analytical chemistry, but the real purpose of analytical analysis, of analysis is to solve a problem. And that's the purpose, of the term paper, to show you the connection, between analytical chemistry, and solving societal problems. Maybe you're wondering, what are types of topics, that would work, for this course. And I'll give you a couple of examples, some of which actually have been done by previous students, but they will be available for you to choose from. Now, you don't have to choose from the ones that are listed here. You can be creative again, depending on your career path and passion and so on. So I'd like you to actually personalize, your term paper topic. But as an example, a term paper topic that you can work on. It would be, for example, developing a wearable sensor for COVID-19 virus, which is in the purview of analytical chemistry. Another good example, is making an electrochemical sensor to determine melamine contamination, in milk. Maybe another good example, is making a sensor to detect analytes such as calcium, glucose, dopamine, or other neurotransmitters, of interest in physiological processes. Maybe another good example, would be to make an electrochemical sensor, or even an optical sensor, to detect E. coli in contaminated water. Maybe one last good example, is to make a fabric microfluidic device, that can measure humidity. So lots of different, types of projects, that you can choose from. But the key is to see that analytical chemistry, is actually interlinked with solving societal problems. In fact, the very purpose of analytical chemistry is to solve societal problems. So maybe some more information too on where the hell do you start to select a term paper topic. I really encourage you to personalize your learning. And so personalize your topic so that it's focused on your intended career path. If you don't know your intended career path, then think of a societal problem or question, that capture, your passion. Is it climate change? Is it environmental pollution? Is it food contamination? Is it sports performance and how you can monitor sports performance? Is it clinical diagnostics and so on? All those, are in the purview of what you can use to select your term paper topic. And so, in light of that, I've posted for you assignment 1, which is going to be 1%, which is sort of going to help you in personalizing your own learning, as well as, of course, myself getting to know you and where you anticipate your career path to go. And so on Blackboard, go to the discussion board and introduce yourself. Introduce yourself, hopefully, by the 9th of September, the first day of classes, so that, we can meet and greet, and that will be the basis, of how you introduce yourself. And so in the introduction, in that discussion board, include your name, your program major, possibly also answer the question, why on earth did you decide, to go into the pain of taking chemistry 211? But most importantly, make sure you capture what is your intended career path. And if you don't know the intended career path, please indicate what societal issue capture your interest and that you would like to contribute to providing a solution in the society. Okay? And I'm gonna use that, as a basis, of personalizing your learning, especially as it pertains, to the term paper, especially if at all you're not able to come up with a term paper independently. I can help you on that, based on the information that you provide me on what your interests and passions are. Again, I emphasize, that the term paper topic must be selected, by October, the 2nd, so that you can have enough time to start writing ahead of its due date, especially the draft. So in terms of what to include in the term paper project, although we can discuss this, later on, but the term paper is going to consist of only 2 pages long, and it's going to be an extended summative abstract, that's going to capture, of course, your name, the title or the topic. The graphical abstract, shows some introduction or literature review on the problem that is being studied, and a brief statement, of the results based on the papers, that you'll be reading. Now, when I get to your topic, I'm gonna assign you one journal article that you're gonna read, and you're also gonna select, another journal article to make a total, a minimum of 2. That are going to be the basis, of writing your 2-page term paper. And again, the term paper project is 10%, and it's going to require you to submit a draft, first on the 23rd of October, and then a final term paper on the 27th, of November. Now, based on the term paper, you're also going to write and generate a poster. I'm going to give you a template to use as a starting point. And the poster is going to be due on December, the 4th. Now, there will be a lab component, as I said, in this course. It's Applied Analytical Chemistry, it's hands-on, and I've already said the lab component is 35%. And the lab starts next week. I'm gonna post for you the schedule on Blackboard, by the weekend, for you to take a look at. And take note, of the lab exam due dates. Like I said, the practical exam is going to be on the 22nd of September 2020. It's very, very basic. It's going to be on you demonstrating the proper technique for gravimetry and volumetric analysis. I'm also going to post for you the lab tips and the chemistry behind each experiment later on a video lecture, most likely by the end of this month, on the 20th of September. And that way it will be very instructive for you to know the chemistry that is being covered in the lab, and of course you know how to do the calculations. We're going to give you the hints on that, in a video lecture at the stated date. So a little bit about the requirements for the lab before you come next week. You're gonna need a physics notebook that's gonna be used as your laboratory notebook. It needs to be hard covered. They're gonna send you the details in another video lecture, about how it should actually look like. You're gonna need the lab manual, which I'm gonna post on Blackboard. Please print a hard copy and bring it into the lab. You're gonna require the safety gear in the lab, the safety glasses, as well as a lab coat. So make sure you bring that in the lab. You cannot access the lab without those. They are legislative requirements that you must have. Make sure you're appropriately dressed, as I've stated, in the slide, no exposed skin and so on, no open shoes. That's a requirement of the lab. Make sure also you come on time, because this semester, because of the COVID situation, we can only have so few students in the lab, and so we need to work very, very efficiently for you to finish your lab on time. So make sure you come to the lab on time. So this semester we're only gonna have 5 lab experiments. Reason being, we can only accommodate so few students in the lab at any given time. And I've listed for you the 5 different lab experiments that we'll be conducting. The very first 2 weeks, starting next week, we'll only be doing laboratory exercises to help you develop, the proper technique. And the second week is when you're gonna do a lab exam, so that you're ready to start to do the other regular labs that are gonna depend on you developing the right analytical techniques and good laboratory practices, to work in the lab. Again, the tentative schedule is gonna be posted on Blackboard, by the weekend ahead of your next week's lab. So going forward, I'm gonna be posting the lecture videos for you to view, and I'm gonna make them fairly short. I don't wanna listen to a 1-hour lecture video, so I'm gonna make them into 20-minute segments. And after you view the lecture video, you take a look at the notes and so on. Like I said, there will always be an online quiz to make sure you are keeping up to date, with what we are covering. And so the lecture videos are supposed to be for you to see them online at your own time. And you can come to the office hour, which I encourage you guys to really come to the office hours during the designated lecture time, which is Wednesday and Friday from 3:30 to 4:30. So you're gonna make them like an office hour, and we can connect on Blackboard Collaborate. So connect on Blackboard Collaborate, and that will be the way to which we're gonna be engaging in the online platform, especially on the first time class tomorrow, September the 9th, make sure you log in, to the Blackboard Collaborate at 3:30, so that we can get to know each other for the greet and meet session tomorrow. So again, that's my introductory lecture on the course expectation for the analytical chemistry, applied analytical chemistry. And I really look forward, to supporting you in your learning process in this important course. Thank you.